It is wonderful to be here with you today to talk to you about AI, a topic that we have heard a lot about over the past day and a half. I am Sandra and I lead the content personalization stream within Danone Specialized Nutrition. And I'm here with Dr. Gavin, who is the Chief Commercial Officer of Anthill, the partner with which we have been testing the use of AI over the past couple of months. So I work with Danone. There are a couple of key stats about Danone up on the screen here. The one that I really want to talk to you about is one that you're possibly not aware of, and that is that 33%, or 1/3 of our business, is generated by medical nutrition. So that is specialized nutrition for babies, for children, for adults who have special nutritional needs because of disease or other health concerns. Many of these products are prescription-based, and so communicating with our HCPs in a regulatorily compliant way is absolutely essential for us. So we started working with Anthill a little over a year ago to understand how we can leverage generative AI to help us create these personalized omni-channel journeys for our HCPs, right? No small feat. I know that everybody in this room understands just how difficult a task that is to do, but we also understand that it is something that is essential if we want to remain relevant to our HCPs and to continue to add value to their professional lives and to the lives of their patients. So when we started this process, we understood, and we still understand, that we can't do everything all at once. And so we identified 4 use cases where we felt we could have the most significant impact and really positively affect our current operating model. And these are not unique to Danone. We are all trying to increase the volume of relevant, high-quality content without proportionally increasing the cost and the time associated with doing that. But cost and time goes beyond just creating new content. It is also about getting the most out of our existing content and really impacting our reuse rate. And so the first key challenge that we identified was around searchability, discoverability of content across regions, across markets, across language. And another key point for us was for the end user to be able to view that content in their own language. The second use case, of course, is around cost and time it takes to produce new content. The third use case is around the personalization of that content for multiple buyer personas in multiple markets in multiple languages. And then the fourth was around the cost and speed of assembling final email content in HTML. So at this point, I'm going to hand you over to Jason to talk to you a little bit more about the platform, the model that we used, that is called Arcane.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. So I'm really, really proud to introduce Arcane. It's a real example. It's true. It's not something that we're just talking about. This is actually happening now with multiple clients that we work with. Before I was at Anthill, I was actually a senior global director and nearly vice president, the general manager at Pharma Australia. So I was also on your side of the fence and understand the challenges that you have. To put it simply, Arcane has 2 main components. Those 2 components are Content Assist, which helps you identify content. You may be using Viva Vault, you may not be, but it doesn't matter. It integrates with any DAM that you have integrated into your company. You can find the information, summarize it, translate, and actually create new content. The second function that it has is Author Assist, and that allows you to rapidly assemble content into usable it's not only usable, but you can submit it directly into MLR for approval. So it's in HTML. Ultimately, Arcane allows you to overcome the core challenges that Sandra explained before. Those are the content discovery and reuse. Can you actually identify content in multiple languages? Create content from existing content as well. And cheaper authoring. How much does it cost when you're going to agencies all the time? As soon as you press the button, it's like €200, €400, €600 per hour. And real-world omni-channel creation. So in the world of omni-channel, you create one asset, and then we might have to personalize for 5 different personas. And of course, that causes exponential cost as well. So these are the challenges that Arcane can help you solve.
All right, so I mentioned the first use case is around discovery and searchability of content, because indeed, from a global and a local perspective, we create an incredible amount of content, as I'm sure you do as well. And for various reasons, it is often underutilized. And oftentimes, I think simply because our local marketeers have either forgotten or don't know that it exists. So having the ability to easily and effectively search relevant content in any language, in any format, it might be creative assets, it could also be research or clinical studies, is something where we know we will see a lot of value. Okay.
Right. Could I just understand if are you using Viva Vault promo mats? If anyone is, can you put your hand up? Yeah, great. And the rest of you are using something else, which is fantastic. So this is relevant whether you're using Viva or not. Let me take you through. So just a quick explanation of what the user interface looks like. It's set up very similar to ChatGPT. You've got your conversation history on the left here, the two functions I mentioned at the top, which are Content Assist and Authoring Assist at the top. You can search for anything down the bottom, by country, by product, by subtype of document as well. And importantly, the input field is down the bottom. So very, very easy to use. Now I'm going to actually take you through really what happens with it. Importantly, I want to say that we're not using Danone content. This is actually content about type 2 diabetes, which is publicly available, and I've loaded it into our Viva Vault. Importantly, it's really critical that you understand that Arcane will only access the information that you choose as appropriate to it. So, for example, if you're in Viva Vault, it will actually refresh and only pull in approved materials. It will only do that. It won't go to the internet. It will not hallucinate. Really important, compliance and security. And that's why you cannot use ChatGPT for a lot of your strategy documents, for example. But let me take you through it now. So Content Assist is the first function. And what we want to do is, let's just say we want to learn about, well, what have we got in our vault about type 2 diabetes? Let's put in a prompt. And this is actually real speed as well. So it's searching Viva Vault in this circumstance. And it's pulled up 25 documents which are related to my prompt. For those of you who are familiar with Viva Vault, although it's an awesome solution, it's very difficult to find documents unless you know exactly what that MAT number is, or the title. I can pull up the document, I can review it, and let's just say, it's not in the language I like. I'm a Danish speaker, so I would actually like to translate this source document into Danish. It's integrated with DeepL translation service. While that's translating that 10-page document in the background, I just want to show you how we actually are connected and fully integrated with Viva Vault. So I'll switch over, and you can see that this is exactly the document. All the metadata is over to the right, and this is exactly the document that I'm viewing inside Arcane right now. The translation is going on in the background, and I'm just going to switch back now to the user interface with Arcane. There's a notifications at the top. You can set up collections, and as you can see, this translation is still going on in the background. It will notify me when it's actually ready. And as you can see, it's ready now, and again, this is real-time translation. So, are there any Danish speakers in the audience? Couple? Could you tell me if this is a reasonably good translation? But we actually translate into over 33 languages. Now, let's just say that you've got a brand manager or marketeer in Denmark that doesn't speak English, that actually wants to use their own native language. It doesn't matter. You can use any language with Arcane as well, and it will search your vault and bring it back and present it to you in your own language. And that's why we have now universal content. So global teams, local teams, all speak the same language. And this is just an example of how you can do that, and it's pulled up the references that it's referring to, and the in-text citations are there. Again, any citation that you click on is linked to your vault, and you can go back and have a look at it.
Okay. The second use case is around whether or not AI can help us with the cost and the speed of creating new content. And I think this is actually an area where we've seen the most value with AI, because indeed you can ask it to recommend or create communication strategies or HCP's journeys to overcome challenges or concerns that it itself has identified within your target audience. And the caveat here is that we have a lot of really rich research that we inputted into Arcane for this purpose. And obviously, the quality of what you put in is going to directly correlate with what you get out of this. But if you do have that data, it provides an incredibly useful tool with which to interrogate it.
So again, just a little demonstration. This is real as well. And a reminder, this is accessing protected information in your vault or wherever you have your digital asset management library. So what are we doing now? Previously, we actually discovered documents, but let's take it a step further and think, yeah, all those documents that I found, those 35 or whether it's 300, I don't have time to read all of those. I'd like a quick summary. In fact, I'm creating a summary for my brand team or the field team, and it's instantly read all of those documents and summarizing it for you. Again, this can be in any language as well. So it's actually saving you hours of work and can happen within moments. Again, all the references are directly linked to your DAM library. What I find interesting, though, is now I'm a brand manager again. I don't have to be a brand manager, but let's just say I want to create an email campaign to HCPs. Let's make it 3 emails. And I want to limit it to 200 words. And I want to finish with a call to action to visit my website. So ideation is actually one of the longest investments that we have. Lots of people sit around, you're paying for an agency as well, strategists, to actually create this initial concept. But here, within seconds, again, live, we've just created 3 emails in consecutive order to HCPs. Referenced as well and directly linked to the approved documentation within your vault. You can go through, you can see down here, we've actually got the call to action at the bottom. They're in sequential order. And they're written in the tone and language for a doctor appropriate as well. But let's take it a step further. So I don't want to just discover, I don't just want to summarize and create emails. I actually want to now create 2 emails. Keep them short, but I'd rather write it in French. So prompting it, again, lifetime, it's immediate. So this just shows you the direct application you can have of Arcane in your field at global levels and at local levels. As a final step, let's just say we're quite excited now. We're thinking, okay, I've got a new clinical paper that's come out, and I'd like to train my sales force, but they hate reading clinical papers, right? So can we make it a little bit energetic? Can we create a podcast for them, a podcast script? So Sandra and I would like to create a podcast using Authoring Assist, again, the approved content that you've selected, and I've decided a doctor named Sandra and a journalist named Jason, and this is about type 2 diabetes. Again, the first ideation phase where you spend so much time actually creating. It's actually talking to the vault, and I've actually not only said vault, but a sub-segment of information within vault that's related to this particular campaign. And with that simple prompt, off it goes. And you'll see at the end as well that this prompt not only provides the content that's based upon your approved content, but it's also referenced and ready to go, whether you want to use it as a first ideation phase or edit it yourself.
Great. And then our third use case, we want to now personalize that content across different buyer personas, across different languages, across different marketers, because indeed, we know that our specialists might be emotive, they might be skeptical or innovative, but in practice, what does analytical content really look like as opposed to skeptical content? And whilst we have exceptional marketeers and agencies who can do that for us, we don't necessarily always have the resources and the time to do that for every piece of communication. And so we tested Arcane's ability to do that, and it can give us the basis for that personalization in just a few seconds. Yes, it has to be edited, but it is far easier when you've got a good starting point from which to build.
So again, let's have a look at this one. We previously created podcasts and a set of emails, and this time I'm just going to take it a step further. Using the same content, this time I'd like to create a campaign for patients about type 2 diabetes. Let's keep it to 200 words with a call to action. It doesn't matter whether it's a patient, a doctor, a pharmacist, a nurse, it will understand what tone you would like. If you have research that you would like to load up to Arcane, it will understand that and apply it directly as well. So it's directly related to the information that you've put into it. And here you have, not assuming you recall what the language was before with a doctor, but this is appropriate to a patient as well. And again, built upon the content that you put into Vault or your DAM library.
All right, our final use case, and that is how can AI help us to create and assemble final email assets in HTML? I think we all understand just how difficult and expensive that process can be. So having the ability to do that in-house is something that will really benefit us.
So, I mentioned earlier that we were focusing on Content Assist, which is a button black up to the left there, where we search for content, we ideated, but now we're going into content authoring. And this is where you spend a lot of money. But with the help of Arcane and a simple design system, what we can do is select the design system that I like, and I mean the template, the layouts, for example. I could even make it specific to what persona types I have for that market, and I could say whether it's a HCP or a patient email. It immediately pulls up what that design template looks like as a standard. But this is editable. This is just a recommendation to you. So if you say, yeah, I like that layout, but I'd like to edit it, we can do that. Now, over to the right, what Arcane is doing, it's summarizing all the information I've put together for this campaign. So it's specific to this campaign. You can set collections and set them with send them to different countries so they're accessing the information that's relevant for this campaign. Once it's summarized, it's also easy to understand what I can make an email about. But here's the design template, and I'm starting to edit the template saying, yeah, I'm not really sure about that layout. I'd like to move this down a bit, or should I move it up? But also, if you've already got your copy ready, and this is a huge leap forward, I can drop it straight into it. It's ready to go. It'll be HTML, it'll be downloaded, pushed back to Vault, and you can send it for approval straight away. So here you can see it's a very easy editing function, or I can delete it straight away. But here's a content block, which has got an image section, and I'd like to create a patient profile about an older lady with type 2 diabetes. So if I'd like to use Arcane to ideate, and I don't want to use my own copy, yes, you can do that here as well. And as you can see, this is live time. It's actually presenting all of that information to you based upon your approved information. And you think, this is fantastic. Not really sure about the image. I'd like to replace that, please. So any image that you have approved in your Vault, it will be accessible to you as well. And it's just simply a matter of actually filtering through and selecting what do I choose. We will, in the next 3 months, be able to generate AI images as well. There's pros and cons for that, but it's an offering that you can have. So here, we've selected the image we like, and then we just progressively go down the content blocks, and we can complete our email. We've been here for 18 minutes. We've searched content, discovered it, summarized it, translated it. Then we've ideated 3 emails for doctors, for patients, and then we've actually created a podcast. And within a few seconds, we've also switched over to content authoring, where we've been able to use that information and populate a HTML template, which will be downloadable and ready for MLR approval as well. You can see here you've got the ability to edit the text, as I said earlier, move the content blocks up and down. But let's think, I'd like it also to have a little fun. And interestingly, Arcane does have a sense of humour, so you can ask it to tell jokes if you like, but you can also use light-hearted language with it too. And that could be to create a content block which might include emojis, make it fun for patients. So within the same email template, you can have different tones, and that's entirely up to you. Of course, we probably wouldn't do that in real life, but for the purposes of this demonstration, let's do it. Make this section about diabetes on a patient segment, and using emojis, keep it under 100 words. So if we look at the prompt, it's thinking not only about the content, but how am I going to fit that into that block over to the right there? And you can see in the green section, it's already starting to populate the content. And as per the prompt, it's using appropriate emojis for that section. Of course, you can go in, edit it, change the layout as you choose. The design systems will be exactly the way you want them designed as well. We can create the fonts, the palettes, whatever colors you choose will be integrated within that design system for each brand and specialized for each country as well. So within seconds, we've created now a full email. We can preview it, scroll up, scroll down, and just think this is exactly what I was after. And we've done that all within 3 minutes that we've been in content authoring. So to summarize, what is Arcane great for? It's to address those challenges that Sandra and people like yourself are actually facing every day. We can't find content. What's the cost and speed of actually creating new content based upon approved materials? The cost and speed of personalization is exponential, but not anymore. And finally, the cost and speed of assembly using agencies. Agencies have their place, don't get me wrong, but don't you want to minimize their time on things that are production and focus on strategic elements as well? And that's what you can use Arcane for.
All right, we are out of time. We are not going to have a chance to have any questions, but come and chat to me if you'd like to hear any more about our experience from a Danone point of view. As you can imagine, it is not all easy. There are some challenges that have to be overcome, but we can answer that after the presentation. Thank you.